All right, I'll probably break this into a couple videos, but what we're doing is we're making the beam system for the main level, and then we're doing our main outer walls and some windows and the opening for our tram. So if you zoom in here, you can see what they're asking is to use a new command called pull, where we're going to select at least our vertical grids, our roof beams, and our main floor. And then we're going to pull it to this elevation drawing. And it doesn't show it here, but it ends up creating lines that you can then use and snap to and not have to worry about all of the lines going off into random 3D parts, because we'll hide everything else and we'll just do our shapes on here. I'm not going to draw every single shape in the video. I'll show you some important tools to use. But here we're looking at this beam here, all of our carrying beams, another smaller one that runs underneath, our vertical and our diagonal columns, as well as these supports at the bottom. So I'm going to swap over to my file here, and you can see I tried a Boolean union on these to clean it up, but it makes wild guesses as to what you want as far as connections. So I ended up just doing a shape here and then doing a Boolean difference so I could get this clean vertical, and then I just mirrored it over and did the same thing for this side. If you still have your curves and your surface in, they'll show up, but you can always select those and hide them or delete them or whatever once you're done. So I want to make sure I have my roof beams, my floor, and my vertical grids all visible and all unlocked. So roof is unlocked, main floor is unlocked, roof framing is unlocked, and vertical grids are unlocked. So I'm going to type in the command first, pull. Also, you want to make sure you have a new layer that's active. I'm going to use my reference lines layer. Now it's saying, what are we pulling? I'm going to leave elevations locked for now because I don't want to accidentally grab it. So now it's saying press enter when done. I'm going to go ahead and unlock elevations. Whoa, not hide it, unlock it. I'm going to hit enter because we're done. And now it's saying select surfaces and meshes that pull. And so that's what I'm going to pick, this right here. I'm going to say enter. And you'll see now everything we've created is over here as a 2D line. And it's turned into the green. So I'm going to lock my elevation again, lock my vertical grids, and then I'm going to hide all that stuff because I don't really need it anymore. Oh, actually I want to leave my elevation. All right, and so now I'm doing all this work in this view. Like I said, we're just making shapes, and we're making them in a place where we don't necessarily have to worry about all the other geometry because it's either hidden or locked. So I'm going to start by switching to this layer. I'm going to leave this unlocked though, because as I draw my shapes, I want to be able to snap to certain things. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to make a single line to start. And I'm going to start with this main beam. So I'm just going to come from this intersection. Then I'm going to come right up to the peak. And you can see we have a slight misalignment of our rafters, or at least I do. The amount of time to fix that would throw off all sorts of things. These were already rotated from each other. They're the same depth, theoretically. So it might be just an angle thing. All right, so I've got this. Now I want to do offset. And I don't really want a cap this time because I'm going to draw those other ones. And I'm going to see, let's see what 2 feet looks like. And you can see there's a ton of curves here, but since our new one is a new color, all right, and 2 feet is pretty darn close there. So I'm going to stick with that. Now I'm going to come back to single line. I'm going to make it long on purpose because we're going to extend this in a minute. I'm going to hit enter, do another single line, straight down. All right, so single lines, offsets, extend, trim, mirror are all going to be your friend this time. So first I'm going to type extend. And so what I want is for this line to come all the way out here. So I'm going to click first this curve we just drew. I'm going to click enter. And now I'm going to click this curve. And it automatically goes. Now we have a little extension here and another little extension down here. So I'm just going to click randomly somewhere else or just say enter that I'm done. And now I'm going to type trim. So I'm going to use this as a cutting object. Actually, no, I'm going to use this as a cutting object. And I'm going to use this as a cutting object. I'm going to say enter. And now even though these are both cutting objects, I can still click this to get rid of it. And I can zoom in down here and I can click this curve and get rid of that. Hit enter when you're done. It's nice we have our shape, but right now they are 4 separate lines still. So I'm going to type join. And I might end up cleaning this up once we establish this. Maybe I should have drawn that first. But I'm going to click here. This curve. This curve. And now again. Oh, good. All right, so now we have a single shape. Same process over here. 2 foot offset. So let's try and figure out how wide we want this to be. You can either try and go with the picture, or you can decide right now on a dimension you want. I'm going to just take a quick peek here. What, 7 1/4? That's kind of a random dimension. That would give us a 15-inch wide beam. And that's again assuming we're centered. If I go 7 1/4 this way, yeah. So that one might actually be 15. I'm gonna just try again. See, this one's off-centered, so it's really hard to say. I'm gonna try this one. All right, I'm just gonna go with it. I'm gonna say polyline, and I'm just gonna draw half to start. And you can decide, are you gonna cut into your beam, or are you gonna follow the picture? Looks like there is some sort of bird's mouth here. So we're just going to come out 7.25 inches. And again, yours might be, oh, that went with feet. And then I'm going to come down. What's that distance? That's 2.5. Yeah, I'm just going to call it there. Now I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to mirror this onto the other side. Click this, hit enter. I'm going to mirror it. Oh, I didn't make a copy, so let me Control Z. I'm going to say mirror, and now I'm going to switch copy to yes. Pick that axis. That looks giant. I'm just gonna go with 6 inches. That makes more sense to me. And I'll start from here. All right, I'm gonna hit enter. I'm gonna click this curve, and I'm gonna at least have it touching. So I'm gonna say move. I at least want that resting, not floating in midair. I'm gonna say mirror. We have copy on, which is good. Now I can join those. And if it's in a closed shape, it'll know you're done joining. And so now, yeah, I probably want to pick this. I'm going to Control Shift this. So I'm just getting this one line. I'm going to delete it, and I'm going to have it end on the face here. I'm going to draw another single line. I'm going to use trim again. This is my cutting object. And you can see if I change, it decides which one it is. So I'm going to use the single line. Hit enter. I'm going to cut that. And I'm going to scroll down until I get to our blue curve. Hit enter because I'm done, and now I'm going to join again. Alright, I've got this one. And that. And because we had already joined it before, now that makes sense. Alright, so now this will end at the face of this. We'll deal with these. We can always just do a Boolean difference later rather than cut them all now. I'm going to pick this. I'm going to type copy. I'm going to go from the midpoint here and snap to the midpoint here. And you can see in the drawings there is a little bit of a bird's mouth cut for these, definitely. It's a little harder to tell at the peak how that's handled. And even though these look like a different size here and they're off center, our grid system is taken over at this point. This side as well. Where did my grid for this go? I'm just gonna have to eyeball it and make sure it's on this bottom piece. All right, now I'm gonna keep going. I'm only gonna do this left side. I'm gonna stop on the right side. But now we need to, again, establish this depth. And then we can start with some of our verticals and our diagonals. And I'll just show you my workflow for that. You feel free to use your own. I'm going to go with a single line again. And I'm going to follow exactly this path. And now I'm going to do an offset. This clearly is not 2 feet. We'll try 1 foot and see if that's good enough or if we need to. And again, I'm just picking the single curve. Oh, yeah, no, not 2 feet. Actually, looking at that, it might be 1.5. Yeah, we'd be on either side of that, so let's try 1. Okay, not bad. We're semi-close. So we're on the top of this diagonal and the top of this diagonal. I'll take it. Now straight line. I'm going to hit enter, do another straight line. I'm going to intentionally go past because I don't know what that intersection would be. Now again, I'm going to use extend. This is what I'm extending to. I'm going to hit enter. And this is the line I'm extending. Hit enter. Now trim again. This is my cutting object, but this is also my cutting object. Hit enter. And now I'm getting the bits I don't want to keep. Hit enter. Join. So a lot of the same commands over and over. Alright, now I've got that. Now I can start thinking about some columns. I am going to use this as my basis, and I'm going to drag it down until it looks like it ends here. Not sure what these lines are, but I'm certainly not going to break up a column halfway. So I'm going to switch to rectangle at this point. I'm going to pick this one and this one. And just draw down until what I think on the drawing is correct. Now you can see these two are at the same height as each other. This one's a bit taller. So I'm going to switch back to reference lines for a minute. And I'm just going to do a single line. And I'm going to eyeball this so that they're consistent with each other. So they're both going to have different heights, but now they'll end in the same place. And don't worry about little misalignments. We're going to use Boolean difference and join multiple times. So I'm not going to show it over here, but you drag it down to here. This one, okay. I'll do one more here just to show some other processes, because I want to show some diagonals. And so if I don't draw this now, oh, and unfortunately I did all those as reference lines. It's easy enough to fix. I can just come in here. I can switch it over to structural layer. Make sure I change my actual active layer now to structural layer. Pick this one. Alright. And so this bit would be a different material that would come all the way to the floor. So that's why we're drawing them separately, because this is going to be timber. This is going to be concrete, I think. And we'll draw this in a minute. So right now I'm going to do a diagonal. So I'm going to go with a single line again. I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to hold and make sure I want to be roughly the same angle I am at the bottom and top, and looks like I'm drifting in a little. So maybe something like this. And now if these are a foot and these are a foot, I'm going to make these a foot as well. I'm going to go back to offset. Click here, come to this side. And so now I'm going to switch to polyline because I know I'm coming from here to here. And I'm going to hit enter. Now we're going to trim this. So my cutting object, doesn't really matter which curve. Hit enter. Click this, hit enter when you're done. Now it's another join. Alright, so this I'm going to want to extend using that same angle. So I'm just going to do a single line. And it's nice, it tells you how you're continuing. Till you get there, hit enter, go again. And now because this is part of something else, I need a fourth line that I can join this and later make our concrete. I'm going to start with this. And because the other one was already part of a closed polyline, it didn't even ask me what I was trying to grab. Alright, so now I'm going to do a couple more just so that I can have established diagonals to draw this from. And then I'm just going to stop until we get to the part where it's all done and we're setting it up where it belongs. So I could do all this over again, but instead I'm going to say mirror. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to click enter. I'm just going to pick this line and come straight down. Now it's not perfect, but it's saving me a bunch of work. So I'm going to again hold control to get rid of that. Sorry, it's control shift and you can get an individual item. And now I'm going to rotate it from this point. So I'm going to type rotate. I'm selecting this. I'm going to hit enter. And just like before, you want to make sure near is on. So I'm going to come down this line. And I'm going to come even further down the line so it's easier for me to see. So I'm going to Control Z this. I'm going to say rotate. I'm going to grab here. I'm going to come all the way down so that I can kind of see where I'm going. And make sure, this is one of those cases where you don't want it to be locked to specific orientations. And that did not turn out how I was hoping. So I'll try it again. Something more like that, where I'm inside, and I'm not going to worry about this discrepancy with the picture. I am going to come in though, and I'm going to Control Shift, grab this, and just delete it. I'm going to Control Shift this. I'm going to type move. I'm going to go from the midpoint up to the edge of the picture. And now I can extend this to that line. So this is my boundary, hit enter. This is my line, hit enter, I'm done. Go back to polyline. Hit enter, and now I got to do join again. So a lot of the same commands used repeatedly. And since this was already a polyline and this was already a polyline, it closed up quickly. I'm going to do one more mirror onto the other side. I'll show you this bit, and then I'll pause the video until all of this is drawn and put it in place. So again, I'm going to say mirror. I'm going to pick this one. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to use this line. And now I have a little bit of stuff to do. So I'm going to start by clicking this. I'll say move. I'll go ahead and get it from the midpoint up to here. Now I can rotate it a bit. And again, if you would rather just draw them based on the picture each time, I am not going to stop you. This is just how I'm doing mine. And that, maybe go a little more. It's hard to tell because these lines seem to shift a little. So I'm going to leave it there for now. Control Shift, delete this, delete this. And now I'm going to do extend again, and because I'm not sure where these are going to hit, I'm going to pick this diagonal and this vertical. So I'm going to say extend. So the boundary objects are here and here. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to pick this and this and hit enter. I'm going to do another polyline, close it up. Enter, otherwise it'll disappear. Join. So tedious, but very doable. Same process until you're all the way across. Remember, you got to have these beams in here as well. And so for this one, it's a little funkier. I'm going to just start with single lines, and I'm going to extend using these angles. I'm not really happy with how narrow that is. So yeah, I might shift that. Let me take a dimension and see. Yeah, 8.5 inches is not great, but I'd probably fix this, but not necessarily for this video. I'd probably shift this one a little over and then have it, I'd clean all this up. But for these, I want it, because it's, I don't know where they're going to end exactly. Come on. So I'm going to come further than I think I need to. Alright, now I can just use trim to get rid of those extra bits. So, trim, my cutting objects are this and this, and what I'm getting rid of is that and that. I'm done, I'll hit enter. Now I want to join all this. Oh, but I didn't close off here, so Again, these other ones are already part of a closed poly. So I need to make sure I have the same here. Otherwise, join will fail. I'll start at the bottom. All right, everything else is more of the same, making shapes, using single lines, offsets, extend, trim, join, until you have this entire side structurally complete. I'll pick up the video again once I do and show you where to place it and extrude it. So once you've made all your shapes, we're going to do this bit next where we're going to bring it out to the edge. We're going to move all the lateral beams to the midpoint because they're going to extend evenly to each side. And then just that thicker one we're going to copy as well to the edge of this wall. So you can see it pretty well in this view. So you'll have, for that 2-foot thick one, you'll have one on either side of the building. And then you'll also have one going right above this. Alright, so let's head back to the other file. What I need active now, I need to have my floor because we're snapping to that, right? I need to be able to see all this. I need to lock my reference lines so that I'm only grabbing my structural layer. And I've gone ahead and I've put all these on their own thing called lateral beams, and I've also locked that. Let me lock grids for now. I'm going to say set PT. So I'm just going to drag all that. I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to be setting the Y. And if you're ever confused as to which one you're setting, you can see this is the Y direction, this is where they're at now, and this is where we want them to be. So that if we were trying to move them right to left, that would be our X. Click OK. And now I'm just gonna come snap to the edge of the floor. If I come in my 3D view, where is that one not moving? That is a little annoying because I actually created this. It's its own thing. Where did it go? Alright, well, I'll do that one separately, I guess. Or it did some bizarre thing because maybe it is not. I think that's what's happening. So I'm going to Control Z for a second. That's what happened, is it snapped somewhere strange to begin with. So I'm going to do set point for that. Again, it's going to be the Y. And I'm going to bring it all back here. So now when I click this object, it's actually all in the correct plane. So set point is an amazing tool that you're going to need to use over and over. Even with drawing in this 2D mode with very few things on, I still somehow managed on my last one for it to end up at the wrong side of the model. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to say set point. I'm going to pick all this stuff again. And now I can see this got selected properly. I'm going to hit enter. Click OK, and now I'm going to come to the edge of my floor. And now, in theory, yeah, great. So I'm going to wait until I've done my planar surface and my extrusion to make any copies. So I'm going to say planar surface. And then again, I want to make sure everything is locked except for the structural layer. I'm going to highlight it, hit enter. And so now these are all surfaces that I can extrude. And let me see if I have a thickness here. Well, I guess technically they're a little in from the edge. So yeah, first thing I'll do is I'll just move that. I'll say move. All right. Now I got a better sense because this is going to come out this way. Yeah, this will be a lot better. And then I'll just extend it out to here. So I'll say extrude surface. Make sure you go to surface, not curve. Same thing, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to highlight all this. Apparently that did not make a planar surface for some reason. Must not be closed, so let me fix that before I do anything crazy. Yep, it doesn't have a line, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a line. Now I'm going to say join. Hopefully that's it. Now I'll try planar surface. Did it not actually join? Let me see. It did not. Okay. So I'm going to click somewhere that's not that. I'm going to say join. First I'm going to click this bit that's already alright, let me troubleshoot this. Did that line not actually get made? Is this curve? Don't believe it actually got drawn. Let me try it one more time. Alright, now let's make sure it actually is a curve. There we go. Great. Now I'll try join again. Look at the curve. And it is not letting me do this one. Alright. Let me start from scratch here. Oh, and the whole thing shifted. Fantastic. So once you've got all your shapes drawn, it's time to use set point to take it off of that drawing and bring it to the edge of the building. The main beam will also get copied over this part, and then the whole side will get copied over here. And then you do it a little differently for the lateral beams because they go consistently across. You start them from the middle. So I'm going to switch over to the other file and show that. So here's mine. I've got all my shapes drawn. Check it. Make sure everything's actually joined, because if you start pulling things over, or if for some reason these are not coplanar, you're going to run into issues. So I'm going to lock everything other than my structural layer. I've gone ahead, because these go from the midpoint, I've created something called lateral beams, and I've got that locked right now. So I'm going to start by saying set PT. I'm just going to drag everything here, hit enter. Now I want to move along the Y. If you're not sure what direction you're trying to move, right now I'm up here. I'm trying to be down here. This is my Y direction. So I'm going to start with this. Now I'm going to turn on plan for a minute, because we don't actually want it right there. So I could have just snapped to the grid, but that would be the midpoint, theoretical midpoint. So now I'm just going to type move. Again, it's asking which objects are we going to move. So I'm just going to pick all these, hit enter. I'm just going to come in to the edge of where I think I'm going to start my extrusion. Alright, now everything's in place. I'm going to say planar surface. Actually, let me check it from here. Alright, I'm going to use this one as my move, because I want to line it up. We're going to come after this, and we're going to do another pull to help us decide where these go. So I'm going to say move one more time. And what I don't want is for it to just suddenly change total orientation. So I'm not going to go anywhere near the floor. I'm just gonna, and now you can see it's shifting that direction. So I'm gonna hold shift. I'm just gonna come straight over. And so now it's still in this correct position, still in the correct position here. I didn't accidentally shift it around, and I'm lined up with this for when we do our next bit. So I'm going to say planar surface. Again, I'm going to grab them all, hit enter. So now we have all sorts of surfaces. I'm going to grab them all. I'm going to extrude them all at once using this. Alright, so this whole thing is getting copied over to this side. So copy. And now I'm going to avoid it snapping to the floor on accident. Let me make sure everything is locked. In theory, I should be able to do this. just holding, but you can see already it's out of whack. I'm going to have to hold shift and it's still, so let me try this again. I'm going to say copy, and instead I'm just going to grab it from a midpoint here, and now it's playing nice. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come right up to the edge of the picture because I know we're using that in a little bit. Alright, that's a lot of it. I want to do this main beam here. So this one, and I'm going to hold shift and get this one. Whoa, nope. Now it's harder to see in this view, so I'm going to come back in my top view because I know I'm trying to line it up here. I'm going to say copy. And it's already gone sideways on me. Oh no, it hasn't. So I'm going to copy it. That looks pretty close. I'll have to see my actual walls in a minute and turn those on. But I'm pretty sure that's where I want to be. Alright. Now it's time for those lateral beams. So I'm going to come back in here. I'm going to switch to lateral beams as my active layer. I'm going to lock this. And anytime you make an active layer, it automatically unlocks it. So you don't have to double duty. So I'm going to say set point. I'm going to come in and grab all these. Hit enter. Again, it's the Y. And this time I'm bringing them straight to my midline, which I've changed color just to make my life easier. So you see it's not only is it shorter, but it's blue. So now I should have all those. I'm going to do planar surface. Everything else is locked, so I should just be able to grab as big as I want and say enter. So now I've got a bunch of planar surfaces. Let me figure out which ones are all going to be the same distance. So it looks like these first couple are all going to end here, and then we'll go a little wider until we get here where we're going way past. So I'm going to just double check here. So I've got 1, 2, 3 that don't go past at all. No, 4. And then we start peeking out. So I'm going to grab surface. I'm going to hold shift, and I'm actually going to hide some other stuff right now to make it easier. Two, 3. Perhaps I missed one, or maybe it's my ridge beam. Alright. And so now I'm going to do an extrude both sides by coming on here and holding shift. And I'm going to come me see if there's an easier way to do this. Let me turn these back on now. And I will unlock it so that there's a chance to snap and make sure I've got intersection on. Now I'll try this again. So I'm going to hold this, I'll hold shift. I'm gonna, since it's not snapping right now, I'm gonna go ahead and go, I'm just gonna come to here. I can always use a Boolean later on. Alright. At least in my drawing, it looks like this one goes past. So now I'm going to select the next one, because now I think we're starting to get into territory where it's all slightly different. So I'm going to grab, not that. And now I'm going to use it from this drawing, and I'm going to come to this edge. Alright, and don't worry if things don't perfectly line up. Again, our pictures are a reference. I did want to make sure my grids lined up to our structure, but now that that's all established, we kind of have to roll with what we've got. So again, I'm going to hold shift, going to come out and come here. We got one more to go. I think, no, maybe two. No, definitely more. All right. So this one, I'm going to eyeball it here, and then I should have these two left. So yeah, it's a little bit of back and forth. And if you're starting to get confused because there's too much going on, I don't really need this plan anymore. I don't particularly need to see the grids or the main floor right now. Again, you got to hold shift and it'll go both directions. One more. And it should go out past your last rafter. We don't have those visible right now. So yeah, I guess technically I could delete a few of these. I'm gonna just come out one more though. And then I'll ditch these. didn't quite get out past on this side though. That's strange. Either I didn't do extrude both sides that time, so let me Control Z for a second. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to turn on this layer first. And now in theory, if I've done this symmetrically, I should be able to I'll just come out to this one. Now let's see, it should only be 2 on this side. Yeah, I must have not just done the symmetrical, or both sides, whatever you want to, however you want to look at it. All right, so I'm going to hide these again. First I'll lock them, hide them. And so now we just need to do another pull. And this time we're going to do it, we're going to highlight all these and we're going to pull it towards this picture. And then you can come in, draw these shapes, place them where they belong. So I'll show the pull. I'm not going to show creating the shapes. I'll probably just come back when they're already made and then show you where they belong on the model. So I need to make sure that my beams and my structural layer are unlocked, which they are. I'm going to type pull. It's going to ask me what I want to pull. I suppose I could do my vertical grids. I'm going to click enter, and now it's going to ask me what I'm going to put it on. And so I need to make sure my elevations is unlocked, and now I can click the picture. Hit enter, and then let me Control Z that real quick. I need to switch back to this being the active layer. Pull, grab all this, add these, hit enter, unlock my elevation, click the picture, hit enter. And so now in theory I have a bunch of green lines on here again, and I'll check that by hiding everything. There we go. It's a little noisy. Probably didn't need all that, but it's a good start. I'll turn my elevations back on, and now I can come in and start making the outlines. For the ones that connect directly to the wall, it's just a diagonal up to the beam. And so if your beam is lower than the picture like mine, you stop it here. The only thing that's funky is the separate little concrete bit down here. But yeah, use the information you have. So again, this one, the image stops here, but my actual beam is here. So I'm going to draw a diagonal up to here and stop. All right, that's it for this bit.